user experience challenge as well, really.
Yeah, and also like if you want to make a software for 3D modeling tracks on a gamepad, like that would be crazy difficult. So
Yeah.
yeah, we decided to not invest into that because it's just not something that we could achieve with the time we have and the size of the team we have. It's just out of scope. Um, and there was another question.
AI.
AI drivers, are they
Yeah.
crashers? So
Are they?
they can be
Yeah.
crashers.
It's tunable. They're very polite.
AI,
Yeah.
yeah, have been quite tricky because the game allows for so many options on like the types of surface that the cars can drive over. Like even on the demo, you can see that we already have 3 surfaces just on that one track. We have dirt, grass, and tarmac, and they all alter the grip levels, and then your cars degrade over time. Uh, their tires, so the AI needs to on real time like compensate for all those things and be able to know, and that makes it very challenging to make an AI that is super quick, which is obviously um, very important to cover the best players and then to dial it down to give a good experience to a lot of sectors of players. So it's been quite tricky to make an AI that supports all those variations, which is like variations of difficulty, variations of terrain types, and tire conditions. So yeah, we're working on it. It's something we still need to work on, but actually we're getting very good results so far. They still crash, so they they won't be crashers intentionally all the time, but we do want to give them a little bit of imperfection. So yeah, the idea is to ultimately provide an experience that feels as human as possible when you're driving against them. So we're we're working on it.
So I had a quick look at the times. I saw that Chris was on 21.77.
Mhm.
So obviously this might, I don't know when the last time the scores were updated, but that'll put him in the 35th place.
Oh God.
Hey,
Need to
hey,
get
hey,
better
hey,
than that.
top 50. That's
Hey.
you know,
Pretty good.
fine.
That's
Pretty
good,
good.
man.
Like that's good. That's a good time. We remember this is like it's all about climbing up those spaces. It's not about coming in first straight away, even though that's beautiful and wonderful and something we all want to do. Let's be honest. But it's about working our way up to the top because that's how, that's the underdog story that we're running for here, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. But I've just quickly switched over to a times degradation run on 15 laps. So maybe the folks can give me some tips as to how to optimize for a 15 lap degradation run.
Okay.
Oh, for a 15 lap degradation run. Um, well, the first thing is what I do is usually I just count the amount of degradation that happens on the first lap, and I just get an idea of where I'm gonna like land and how many stops uh, I'll need to do on a certain run to maximize the amount of health on the tires. And once I do that, then trying to drive as smoothly as possible to maximize the amount of acceleration you'll get out of corners as the tires start to degrade. So even though it may be a little bit slower on the first laps, you may gain some time on the later part of the run. So yeah, it's trying to play with those elements of keeping the car as healthy as possible, and then managing risk as well. Like if you're running extremely on the limit, you may make mistakes. So maybe you want to dial it down just a tiny bit to make sure that all the laps are consistent. And what we like about this is that that's the same approach we do on a racing simulator. That's pretty much the same strategy that I would take on a game with a lot of realism. And we really like that we need to bring those elements into a game like this.
Oh no. I spun out a little bit, losing grip.
Yeah.
I mean, in a long race with pit stops, you could have a situation where you're driving behind someone and doing roughly the same times, and you can have an idea of when they will be intending to pit, and you can try and aim to pit one lap earlier, and then when you go out, you're new tires, and for a lap, you're going a lot quicker than they are. So you'll most probably jump ahead of them when they come out of the pits after they will stop. And if you manage to keep your tires healthy enough, you might be in a very good position to win the race, because you didn't have to overtake and didn't put yourself at risk of crashing and getting some damage. So this is for sure going to be one of the strengths of a good driver, someone who manages their tires well.
So we did have a question here from QnA. I would like to say that I think that's how you pronounce it. I could probably got it wrong. But could you please give us a little insight into your intentions and your role models in developing the game? How did you come up with the idea and the art style? How long or difficult was the way until big publishers noticed you? Is developing the game your full-time job right now?
Yes, developing the game has been the full-time job for a while now, and it's a very demanding one. Okay, there were a lot of questions there, so some reminders.
So what was your intention and role models in developing the game?
Well, I mean, it can vary. It varies for Alberto, myself. Personally, I started playing racing games in the beginning of the 90s. Super Mario Kart for Super Nintendo, the first F-Zero, Top Gear. I fell in love with those when I was 7, 8 years old. And then just a few years after that, I tried the first IndyCar Racing 2 by Papyrus, which was a huge leap. You were already driving in 3D. You were able to crash sideways to other cars. That was very impressive. So we started to get very hooked on simulations. And then, of course, the Geoff Crammon games, the Formula One series, Grand Prix series. Those were fantastic. But we also kept going back to more casual games, games like Wave Race, which were just fantastic to play. And the Mario Kart series just kept getting better, and we play all types of games. And when we started thinking about this one, naturally we were drawn into thinking how we could bring all the elements that we love from different games, the casual approach and the more serious simulation approach, and how we wanted to combine them in order to build something that we wanted to play. So that's sort of the fundamentals of how it came together.
I would love to answer this question as well, but and also have John and Carolina give their perspectives on what inspires them to make games as well, because we're all putting our different love for games into this game, and you'll see aspects of that in the final game. For us too, we will mostly center around like the core racing aspect of the game. So yeah, from my side, playing a lot of games by pretty much anything that Miyamoto was involved in is a huge inspiration for me because of the elegance of the game design in those games, and how the experience is so focused. So there's an element of that, like thinking of how much stuff can Mario do with just 2 buttons, right? And trying to think of why those games are so loved by so many people. And I think it's because of this quick adaptation process by the player. Like, it's quick to learn, but then there's a ton of mastery, and we definitely want to have some of those elements into a racing game. And in that sense, we're trying to achieve a little bit of that, like make a game that a lot of people can play right away, but then that can spend years mastering. That would be lovely. And as Charlie was saying, like we did play a lot of simulator games, and as well as arcade games, and we felt that simulator games have a lot of depth into the motorsport aspect of them, but then some of the arcade games had a lot of charm. And that charm wasn't always on simulators. They can be a little more dry, not all of them. And there's certain titles that put a lot of charm as well. But yeah, the arcade charm from titles such as Wave Race or Top Gear or Mario Kart is certainly not always there. And we figured, why not, right? There's a lot of joy in spending time in those worlds, and we would love to have some of that joy into a very motorsport heavy game. So that's sort of why this game has stylized visuals and this playful look, but we're still trying to preserve those motorsport elements that we want to keep to bring the emotions that we love about this game. So that's for us.
Carolina, I would like to hear what you're like. I know we're hearing from like everyone, but like obviously a lot of people sometimes forget that there are other sections of game development that still have an influence on things. So I'd love to hear what your influences are as well.
My own influence into the game.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's always been, I want to make games in which I want to spend time on and help build worlds that I would like to visit and stay at. And at a surface level, that can that initially means how beautiful are the worlds and how welcoming are they and how much detail do they have. But at a larger scale, to me, it's about the kind of community that you can build behind a game, and you as a person, as an individual, how do you feel inside this world? So I think the values of joy, of wholesomeness, and coziness are definitely behind my intentions and inspirations to work on this game. And I think that's seen reflected in the game itself, in how we're approaching, for example, systems like the AI that John can speak more about, some of the customization aspects. We've hinted a little bit here and there that there's a like I've posted a screenshot of my driver, but those interactions with the character, with the representation of the player as a character in the world, is something that I keep my eye on. That's something close to my heart. Yeah.
And you mentioned John as well. So John, I want you to jump in. I see you down there all muted and everything, trying to get out of that question, but I want to know about your influences as well, especially coming from the programming side of things. Like, one of the things that is probably just as important, but sometimes doesn't get the spotlight as much as other kind of aspects of game development. Would love to know what your influences are and kind of what you look at.
Oh man, such a broad question. Influences, like I got into game development because I was like in like grade 7. I was like, this game doesn't have the thing I want. I was playing Oblivion and I wanted a spell they didn't have. And that got me into programming and I kind of just stuck with it. But over time it's kind of evolved into really enjoying the way people engage with games when they're out in the wild. I was watching the first episode of the No Clip documentary on the making of Hades yesterday. Carlos shared it with me. And at the very end, the developers are watching a stream of somebody who's fighting the final boss right as it's come out in early access. And they're like, there's no way, like, they're just cheering on the boss. Like, and like hoping their game will stand up to this player, and the player wins. There's actually a bug where they had sort of permanent invincibility. And the just like the emotional reaction of the developers to the excitement and joy of that person playing the game and getting to like engage in a world and like employ strategy and also like kind of bring your own personal, like you bring your heart to games you play, right? And getting to express that, I don't know, when I see that, it just makes me really happy. And
I
So,
think that's a great answer.
Yeah,
like
fantastic.
all of these answers are like, I love the fact that I got into programming because there was a spell in Oblivion I wanted. Like, damn it. I love that that's the reasoning. Like, it's such a good reason as well because, yeah, like I'm sure that there's been a time where everyone's been like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. Like, it's going to bring fun and love to everyone that's going to play it, and it's also the spell that I goddamn wanted.
Yeah.
I never made it. It turns out I wasn't a good enough programmer at the time.
That can be the next project, the
there
next
is-
secret project.
It's a really
Yeah.
core like sentiment, right? On anyone who's creating anything is like, I want this to exist, and it's such a beautiful thought, like representation of getting into a discipline such as programming, to have that spark of wanting something to exist that doesn't yet exist, and it can be like a game, entire game sometimes, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
So I've been going through the chat, just double checking all the different questions. A couple have caught my eye. One that definitely, I know there's a lot of interest about it in the Discord. Is the what's it called? Is about trap cutting and kind of cutting corners and everything like that. And I know we've discussed it a little bit in the Discord server and everything, but I thought you'd like to take a moment to kind of explain a bit more about the ideas that you're having, about the ideas about maybe the bollards, for example, to kind of like show where the trap bounds are and such, and different ideas that you had in that sense.
Mhm. One thing we don't like to experience in games is ambiguity, or unexpected results. So that's where we would like to make this a very measurable limit that you can look at and aim for. So there's that element of knowing where the track bounds are, making that a bit more tactile and very easy to read. And then I guess, yeah, that's where the bollards come, or the walls, or just having like a very strict guideline that players can get familiar with, even if there's no bollard. If they always know, like, oh, I can't put more than 2 wheels outside of the track, or whichever rule we go for, yeah, for that to be very consistent. So that's what we want. We want something that can be used to drive precision, and where we land on that, we will just test it and get a feel for it. We are drivers that love to drive on the limit as well, so we really want to get this down right. Yeah, there's not much to it. There's quite a few ways to do it. Like the interpretation of the rules can vary. So yeah, we will probably just pick one that we believe is the most accepted by motorsport enthusiasts around the world, and then hope that it is a system that everyone can understand and explore the limits of.
Yeah, well, I'd like to add that we are aware of how it feels a little bit strange at the moment in the demo, because you're pushing the limits and suddenly you go over the limit, which is not visible, and you get punished. And this, when you're trying to get the ultimate lap time, can be frustrating. So the track design and these details are something that we've put a lot of effort on, and we've tried many different things. I can say that this has been largely addressed, and that you'll be pleased with the solution. My hint is that curves will play a more prominent role than in the demo that you're playing right now.
Chris, I'm getting a lot of chatter saying that we should just mute the sound effect on the car because obviously, sadly, it's overpowering people when they're talking. I hope you don't mind. I'm sorry, I've ruined your birthday trap. I'm ruining your birthday blab.
It's all good. Don't worry. Don't worry. Sure
Can't
thing.
believe I did this. Also, just keeping track of track times and everything like that. So he is got better. He's now 21.6. on the single tracks, which I'm quite happy to announce.
Hey.
Also, Chris, on your degradation 15 laps, you got 6 minutes 17. So you came in 10th on the leaderboards.
Great.
You came in behind yourself, who got 6 minutes 4 seconds before. So
Yeah.
not
Nice.
sure.
It's the pressure of the stream. It adds like 10 seconds onto the onto the run. It's crazy.
Oh, it's a bit like when you're on camera. It
It's
adds
the
10
camera.
pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It adds weight to the car.
Yeah.
So another question that came through was about if there's going to be any weather within the game, and kind of such as rain and so forth.
There won't be, mostly because it's a very challenging technical aspect for visuals, like the visual demands that adding rain has are quite big. And so yeah, we're not adding that at the moment. We hope we can get to that at some point in the future. That would be very exciting to develop, but not we don't have the bandwidth to add it at the moment.
And on top of that question, someone was asking about having a flag system, which I'm guessing is going to be a very similar kind of answer, but just so that people can see that we are seeing their questions and kind of like we are going through. We're not trying to block any questions. It's just that obviously there's some that we don't have the answers to yet, but then there are some we do have the answers to, which we're trying our best to answer.
We don't currently have a flag system. We are aware that on a race, dealing with back markers can be an important thing, and having blue flags or yellow flags. We don't think it's necessary at this point to add a flag system, because we've actually solved it in a different way, which is that whenever you're running, it's an optional thing that we can opt to enable or disable, which is that back markers get ghosted, so you can't crash against them. So ultimately you don't need a blue flag, because there's an option to block those interactions. And yeah, for your own custom races, you could decide against that, and if you want to keep those interactions possible, you can do that. But yeah, that's the current solution we have. And yeah, there's not really necessity for a yellow flag at the moment. I think because of the view, you can always see the accident that happened in front of you, so you don't need the heads up as much as you would in a real track. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment with not having flags.
So next question, I kind of know the answer to this, but like only just because I've been helping out Chris with his racing when he's been teasing our fans about the fact that he's been playing the game. I still can't get over the fact that you did that, Chris. I'm not disappointed, but I am very surprised.
Let's leave it at
that, shall we? But it was about grid ordering and how we're deciding what positions everyone is going again. So I know the answer, but I'm going to let you guys answer, because I feel that's the best place.
I think John could elaborate on that one pretty thoroughly.
There's a lot of ways the grid can be ordered. We do have qualifying that you can turn on and off. You can order the grid by your tournament points or opposite of that. It's very configurable. Alberto, would you like to add anything? Like, I think my answer is just yes, it can change. Yes. There is a random option if you really want that.
I guess the one thing that was briefly touched on is that there's qualifying. So you can opt to do, like right now on custom events, you can opt to do a qualifying on the first race, and then after that have the points do the sorting, and you can also just qualify every race. So yeah, and there's also settings for qualifying. You can have qualifying with collisions or qualifying without collisions. There's plenty of options to choose from, and we just want to make sure that when you're playing this game, you can have the motorsport experience that you want, and maybe you want like a quicker pace where you're going from race to race. You can skip the qualifying, or if you want to make longer events that you where you participate to a deeper level on all aspects of the race that you can.
A popular solution is to place the grid in reverse order of how the championship is at the moment. So the leader of the championship will start last. And so this is a way, obviously, to make the championship more competitive. Yeah, it makes it just a quicker affair to go from race to race, because you can just skip qualifying. For a more serious approach or a more purist approach, then you can use qualifying, and it's the same approach as in real racing.
Sorry that I've gone really quiet. I'm just looking at Chris's line because I'm trying to get tips on how to get 21 club myself. I'm right now in the 27 club, which I know isn't something to like go, oh, that's rubbish or anything, but it's not exactly, it's not elite. And I kind of like this. This is one of the features that I really enjoyed the game, is the kind of the dirt track, like the dirt of the tires and the burn and everything on the track where you go through after a little while. And actually it's really handy for like, quite frankly, I'm a noob, so for me this is like perfect kind of like getting tips and tricks on it. But other questions that we had through, and I'd like to expand on this question, but there is one where it's asking if there is banked corners, or even an oval track, which or would that be too challenging due to the physics in that's being used at the present moment?
It was challenging to get the physics to behave right, but yeah, we got it. We got that working. We actually have a couple of tracks with some bands at the moment. Charlie has been really working on those tracks very deeply. And well, actually, would you like to elaborate on what your approach to surface changes and banks have been on your process to create these tracks? Because there's quite a bit of thought into that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it was important to get the verticality aspect of the physics right, and Alberto did a massive jump from the previous physics model, and jumping in general and the vertical behavior of the cars feels really nice. And so jumping, even small bumps are very noticeable, and so banked corners are nice because you obviously can go through there a lot quicker than if it was just flat.
Or opposite that.
And or if it has negative camber. So we can feature both of those to give tracks a bit more flavor and make them a bit more challenging for players, because a completely flat track, it's sort of when you add these little variations in verticality, it gains a lot of charm, and the tracks become way more interesting to drive, discover, and master. So yeah, you can expect banking.
Another question that's come through is there a rough number of vehicles that are going to be available? I remember once 12 was mentioned, but he may have made that up.
Yeah,
vehicles per race?
Per race, yeah.
No, vehicles as in the type of vehicles.
Type categories.
Yeah, the categories and different type of cars.
Right.
So like the Boss, the Panther.
We are aiming to release in early access with 8 categories, and then we'll keep servicing the game and adding categories as we build them.
Yeah, right. Right now, our approach to categories is really thinking about the type of gameplay that they offer, like having slower cars with very little grip, or having slow cars with quite a bit of grip. To like they can both be slow, and then they have a totally different flavor and racecraft around them. So yeah, we want to cover a good range of gameplay possibilities and also flavors of motorsport, because each category has its own history. And and its own aesthetics as well. So we want to make sure that we start off with a good amount of variety to play with.
I'd like to sneak in a question that I saw earlier about the Camione that was going to make a comeback.
So one of the car classes, yeah, it's semi truck racing, but prepared race trucks. So these are race trucks, and they're quite big, they're quite chunky, they accelerate fast, and they don't brake very much, and they don't have a lot of grip. They're quite fun. So yeah, we look forward to having those feature in the game, because they're also so big on the track that just the track becomes smaller.
Yeah, I think it's one of our historically most popular tweets that give.
Yeah, there's actually the tweet that has the most likes is when we showed the cars being able to be seen behind objects, which was necessary because sometimes you would have like the car go into like a forest area and you would lose sight of your car. So we needed to do that. And we did that with a little semi truck, and it somehow got a lot of likes, specifically for, I think, for the truck.
This is not so much a question, but just more a statement of Chris is going to be too powerful after playing for so long on this stream.
I'm losing time rather than gaining it. My focus is deteriorating. I think I need to jump over onto a degradation run.
Yeah, let's
I'll see if
a little bit.
See if I can improve that 6:15 time.
So another question that was asked was, will there be nighttime tracks? Or like, and I was thinking we can expand this question a little bit. What kind of other tracks are you quite like excited that are coming that may not be visible yet?
So the tracks that we're developing first for the first version that will be available are we're making those choices based on the cars and categories we'll have available, and having as much support for those as possible. So yeah, we want to have initially like a good amount of road tracks. We're also building a couple of off-road tracks, and I don't think there's a night track right now planned, but yeah.
I think we've shared a hint or gifts of Grand Canyon.
Yes, we've shared some of like that. That is a mixed track, so it's like a sort of like a mix of surfaces.
Surely you mean the Great Canyon?
The Great Canyon.
Yes, the Great Canyon. That one.
Yeah, it was actually an idea that Charlie had for that track, because it's in real world rallycross they usually use circuits, and rallies use highways or roads. So we thought, why not Charlie thought to have a track that was actually both like the flavor of the rally by being in like a real road, like a road, a track. How do you say that? Not a racetrack road, but that mixes with a path with dirt. So it's like a rallycross track, but also inspired by having like a bit of rally flavor as well, which we haven't actually seen rallycross like in real life do those things, but that would be quite cool.
But that's the joys of a game as well, is that you can make things happen that might not be able to happen in real life as such as well. So that's always a bonus, I find anyway, personally. I don't know how everyone else feels about it, but
True. Yeah, but the inspirations for the environments and the tracks in the game will be very much based and very grounded on real world tracks. So tarmac racing, asphalt is our specialty. We've had to learn a lot about off-road racing, but rallycross is really fun. Driving, changing surfaces, going from tarmac to dirt, or driving in a more slippery surface is really fun. Jumping is really fun. So we're trying to build the same level of quality of gameplay for all types of motor racing that we're featuring.
So there was another question about what types of, it was a very specific question about a type of mode, but before I go into that one is, what other modes will there be available apart from obviously durability as well as racing laps and such?
Oh, you mean like timed races?
Exactly. Like, and if there's any other kind of modes other at the moment that are planned in place.
Actually, I think we've discussed having races that are time-based, but I don't think we've ever like gone in and implemented it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have distance. Do we have distance?
We don't have distance currently. There's certainly all the data we need, but we could implement it.
I think right now we only have laps. Yeah, so that we would need to slowly introduce some more options.
I saw someone mention wanting to do a 24-hour race. I think our QA team having to test that would maybe throw a fit. That would be pretty intense for them.
Yeah.
That would be quite difficult. But start by 24 minutes race.
Yeah, I like that. I like that much more.
Sims approach to time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so the approach to time would be like time plus one lap. If we once we get to it, but we haven't done that yet.
The reason why I was asking was just because there was someone that I was asking about endurance events instead of actual trying to complete so many laps, which I thought was quite interesting. But I wanted to try and find out more otherwise through more unconventional ways, which I think like worked quite well.
Yeah, it's a good way to ensure that tracks, regardless of the track distance, that races last a similar length. So if they're distance or time based, you can ensure that the races are sort of lasting the same amount.
Yeah, it makes sense. In an endurance event, it would make sense to have the similar format that that we use in real life. So 12 hours, 6 hours, 24 hours. With most I think 24 minutes will already be an endurance. But
24 minutes.
But yeah, it's a format that would work based on time, and then distance is also nice because. For instance, if you need to cover the same amount of distance on a track that is not very demanding on tires, and then a track that is very demanding on tires, in the beginning of the race, you can figure out if you rather do only one stop instead of two stops that you do for the track that is more demanding on tires. So yeah, these formats can also bring an interesting element of creativity in how you approach your race.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've just realized that, oh man, I'm gonna make this perfect in terms of the amount of tires I have left going over the line. I realized I had been too conservative and wasn't pushing hard enough, and eventually decided, okay, 3 laps to go. I got to turn this on now and start going fast. And just had enough tires to get over the end. Man, yeah. Shaved 5 seconds off my previous time. So
nice.
Wait, really? Sorry, I'm just catching up with the actual stream and having to watch on there. So.
Oh, I spoiled it. I ruined it. I'm sorry.
You spoiled it for us. But nice. Well done. I'm proud. I'm like a proud Papa Bear.
Nice.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
So another question that popped in is, will there be a multi-class option so that GT cars in a race with LMP cars? Maybe. Are you guys planning an LMP style car as well?
We don't really.
Yeah.
We don't currently have a way to have 2 leaderboards. So we only have one. Yeah, we're only ranking one set of cars. So we don't have 2 categories at once. You can currently do mixed races, like you can just pick different cars, but that's not really a multi-class yet. So yeah, no, not now, not yet. It's something we would love to get to at some point, but yeah, it's not planned to be built, that feature. quite just yet.
So another one that popped up. I won't go too much into details as such, but they're asking if there's going to be a way that we can signify our displeasure at another racer if they maybe crash into us. I
Oh,
won't say how, but you
saw
can
that question.
But yeah, would there be maybe any kind of like things like say car horns or something like that, just to be kind of
We've thought about it. We've meant we've got a few ideas on how we would like to add like little expressions that you can share during the race, but we haven't built them or planned for them. Ultimately, they weren't like a core element that we needed, so we're focusing on making sure the core experience is built first, and then we will get to those like little things that we wish to have, because there's so many little elements that we would love to work on. But yeah, we'll get to our little like the smaller interactions over time, because there's so many little things we want to build, but focusing on getting the cars feeling right, the tracks feeling great, and yeah, the racing elements all working together nicely. And that's the first pass, and then we'll see what we can add, all the little things.
So one person is asking, is there a handbrake, like a handbrake button that is usable?
We've debated this internally, if we should have a handbrake. A difficult question.
That says that this has been a discussion. I can tell. Maybe I shouldn't have brought this discussion up. I didn't realize.
No, it's fine.
No, it's all good.
There's quite a bit to talk. It's really difficult to make the physics work with like that kind of drifting that the handbrake causes, because it's ultimately like it's a very nuanced type of behavior that you just lose the car and catch it, and it's not really like I don't think the physics really work too well with that kind of driving approach, because that one is more about feathering the throttle and the steering. And our game is more built towards having a bit of like quicker inputs, and you can definitely like control your throttle, but no, I don't think to the point where you would maintain like a handbrake cost drift. So we did build the feature. We're not sure if we should include it, because ultimately we only want to make sure that we put out things that feel at the top quality that they can be. And it's not the focus of the game to drift. The focus is motorsport, so we want to focus on those things. If we ever manage to make it feel fantastic, then we would include it. But we want to make sure that cars feel fantastic on what they will be doing 99% of the time.
So another question that's come in this time from Doghouse was that he's noticed that, well, Dave noticed that the grandstands are empty on the this track. Are there plans to add crowds or spectators to add an ambience during the racing events? Or are you more worried that people like me might be racing and accidentally cause damage to said spectators because I'll go veering off the track?
Yeah, actually, yeah, we did have to block the areas where there's crowd. So yes, there is crowd. You won't be able to crash against them, because it would have been very difficult to make those interactions, and it would have required some elements that would have upped the rating, the H rating. So we chose not to. But yeah, there is crowd, and even like this is something that John worked on, and this is his idea and contribution. Is the grandstands are dynamic, so when you're in practice, you won't see a lot of people. In qualifying, you see a bit more, and then on a race, you're fully packed. So that's something we made dynamic by John's contribution to the design of the game.
Yeah, and they're very cool. They have Alberto spent some time researching fashion trends across time, so that they represent. They're kind of timeless. They have outfits from different times in history, they're extremely cute and amazing. I can't wait to share what this looks like with you guys.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time drawing clothes on little polygons. So they're all there wearing their best clothes.
Yeah.
We should really share like a tweet of the
We
crowd.
should share,
So
yeah.
cute.
There's like photographers taking pictures, and yeah, they all have different attitudes. Some are very excited, some are skeptical. Yeah, it's great.
The pit stops are based on grid ordering. Yes.
Oh, that's a question?
I just caught that question.
Oh.
I was also thinking the exact same thing. I was like, that's a really easy yes.
Yeah.
Like, I saw the question and I was like, wait, oh no, like, I'm not doing my job of reading the questions. I'm so sorry. But the only reason why I'm not doing that is just because I noticed what the time is, and really we should start wrapping up.
Okay.
Is there anything that anyone wants to say beforehand? I want one thing very important to say that I've been neglecting to say because I've been so involved listening to your like feedback and all your kind of answers and everything, and that is wishlist this game. By wishlisting the game, you help support these wonderful developers and fulfill the dream of this game. And I can see a lot of you are massive fans, so please do drop a wish list on there and encourage your friends to do so. The demo is available to access till Tuesday, 6 p.m. British Summer Time, and I think that is 10 a.m. West Coast time, if I remember correctly. So please encourage all of your friends and colleagues as well. Carolina, am I wrong? Are you going to business manage me into and correct my timing?
No, it's good.
Yes.
I think it's correct, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Please encourage and also share with us everything you've done. Join the Discord, which is available on discord.gg Circuit Superstars. We kept it nice and simple to find. And if you don't have Discord, then share with us on social media. You can find Square Enix Collective is available on Discord, not Discord, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, as along with Circuit Superstars and Original Fire Games on all of those platforms as well. And share with us and use the hashtag Circuit Superstars. That helps us find everything as well. It makes it a bit easier to share all of your amazing laps and such. But yeah, I interrupted everyone. Feel free to share something that maybe...
some closing words?
Yes, some closing words for everyone.
From everyone? Okay, I can start. I just wanted to send a lot of gratefulness to everyone that came to watch the stream. Obviously to Chris and Coops and Lauren, who's here in the chat, who are ongoing supporters and structurers of the project. And then you guys in the community and everyone that's been so active on Discord this week. You've made us cry of joy and feel very just happy that we're putting this game out there and that you're appreciating it and connecting with our intentions. And thank you for being so awesome. Like I've never been part of an online game community that is this dope and like and wholesome and supportive. So thank you. Those are mine.
Yeah, I resonate with that. We hadn't seen as many people try the game in such a short time, and it was a very special feeling to read the comments and to start to actually see the impact that our work from our daily lives for years has on bringing a smile to any one of you. So when you share those moments that you tell us that you've had fun with the game, yeah, it really makes us reflect on why we put the time into this and how that has the idea that it can have a positive impact on someone's day is huge. So thank you so much for playing and for telling us that you played and sharing those moments with us. It means a whole lot. Thank you.
Yeah, same here. Thank you for keeping an eye on the game and how it's progressing. It means a lot. And thanks to Chris and Coops for putting this together. We hope it's the first of many.